It was a quiet evening when I first noticed something off with my GPS. I'd been driving for hours, the long stretches of highway blending into one another, making it easy to lose track of time. The car's interior was a soft glow from the dashboard, and the hum of the engine was comforting in its monotony. My plan was simple: get to the cabin in the woods, enjoy a weekend of solitude, and forget the world for a while. But as the miles passed, my GPS started acting strangely. At first, it was subtle, a slight flicker in the screen, a brief glitch in the route it had mapped out for me. I thought nothing of it. Technology doesn't always work perfectly, right? But when the device began rerouting me onto smaller, unmarked roads, I started to feel uneasy. The GPS took me off the main highway, guiding me deeper into the wilderness. I could barely see the names of the roads anymore, just faint, illegible markings that seemed to dissolve into the landscape. But still, I trusted it. After all, it was just a tool, a machine that had always led me where I needed to go, or at least, it had. I glanced down at the screen, trying to figure out where I was now. The route was becoming less recognizable, the roads twisting in ways that didn't make sense. The trees seemed to grow thicker around me, casting long, gnarled shadows across the road. An eerie quiet filled the car, save for the soft click of the turn signal and the occasional rustling of leaves in the breeze. I thought about turning back, but the GPS reassured me with another notification: continue on the current route. I took a deep breath, trying to shake the creeping sense of discomfort. Maybe I was just overthinking things. Maybe it was just a glitch, nothing more. But as I followed the road deeper into the forest, I couldn't help but feel like I was heading into something I wasn't supposed to find. And then it happened. The GPS screen flickered again, the words flashing and distorting. For a moment, I thought the device had broken completely, but when the screen cleared, I saw it. An old street name I hadn't seen in years, a name that stopped my heart cold. It was the street where my childhood friend, Jack, had lived. The same street where, years ago, he had gone missing without a trace. The memory hit me like a cold wave, a feeling of dread spreading across my chest. Jack had disappeared one night, driving home after a late-night hangout. They found his car abandoned on that street, but no sign of him. Not a clue, not a trace, just the haunting, empty feeling of something gone wrong. My hands tightened on the wheel, and my breath came faster. I tried to reason with myself. It was just a coincidence, just a glitch. But when the GPS beeped again, it was another name, another street from my past. This time, it was the street where my neighbor, Emily, had lived. Emily had been my best friend when we were kids, but she vanished one summer, last seen near the old bridge that crossed the river. Her disappearance had never been explained, and for years, the mystery had haunted the town. There had been rumors, whispers in the dark about the bridge, but nothing ever came of it. Emily was simply gone, and no one ever found out what happened to her. I could feel the weight of those memories pushing down on me, making the air feel thicker, heavier. I looked up from the GPS, my eyes scanning the dark road ahead of me. I should turn around. I knew I should, but I couldn't stop myself from pressing on. The screen directed me deeper into the woods, the roads growing narrower and more treacherous, the trees closing in around me. It was as though the landscape itself was shifting, warping into something unfamiliar, something I couldn't recognize. Every turn felt wrong, every mile stretching farther than the last. My heart was pounding in my chest now, the fear creeping in. But the GPS kept flashing those old street names, guiding me toward places I had long tried to forget. I tried to reset the GPS, hoping it was just malfunctioning, but it refused to obey. The device didn't show a route to follow anymore, just an endless string of cryptic locations. I checked my surroundings, my pulse quickening. I was completely alone, the roads devoid of any signs of life. It was then that I noticed something else. The air was growing colder, the quiet deeper. My headlights illuminated patches of mist, thick and unnatural, curling up from the ground like smoke. The trees seemed to press in closer, the shadows of their branches twisting in unsettling shapes. The silence was suffocating, almost as if the world around me had paused, holding its breath. I pressed on, my grip tight on the wheel, unwilling to admit how afraid I truly was. And then I saw it. In the distance, barely visible through the trees, was a building, a rundown, abandoned structure that hadn't been there before. My GPS was still guiding me toward it. My heart skipped a beat. That building, it was the old mill. The mill where they had found Jack's car. The mill where he had disappeared. I could feel a cold sweat breaking out on the back of my neck as I turned the car down the overgrown road that led to it. The GPS was no longer helping me. It was leading me into the past, into the very places I had spent years trying to forget. The mill was even worse than I remembered. Its broken windows stared out like hollow eyes, and the crumbling walls seemed to lean in, as if the building itself was waiting for something. I parked the car and got out, the crunch of gravel underfoot, the only sound in the oppressive silence. The air smelled like rot, like old, decaying wood and mildew. My breath came in shallow gasps as I approached the building, a gnawing fear twisting in my gut. I couldn't explain it, but something in my mind was screaming at me to leave, to turn around. But the GPS had brought me here, and I felt an undeniable pull to continue. As I stepped inside, the floorboards creaked under my weight, the smell of dampness heavy in the air. The room was dark, lit only by the faint light filtering through the cracked windows. The walls were lined with old machinery, rusted and forgotten. And then I saw it. On the floor, near the far wall, was a phone. It wasn't mine, but as I walked toward it, I felt a strange sense of familiarity. The phone buzzed in my hand as soon as I picked it up, and the screen flashed to life. There was a single message, written in bright red letters. "It's not over." The ground beneath me shook, and suddenly, the doors slammed shut behind me. I spun around, panic rising in my chest. The building was no longer still. The air was thick with an unnatural presence, and the darkness seemed to close in around me. From the corners of the room, shadows began to move, figures, dark and formless, their shapes indistinct, but their eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. I backed away, my heart racing as I searched for an escape. But it was too late. The building had become a trap, and I was its prey. And then I realized the horrifying truth. The GPS hadn't just malfunctioned. It had led me here, to this place, to confront the past I had been trying to bury. But the past had never truly gone away. It was waiting for me, pulling me back, and now I was trapped in its grip. The last thing I remember before everything went black was the soft buzz of the phone, its screen flashing one final message, "Welcome back." And as I drifted into unconsciousness, I knew the worst part was yet to come. The GPS wasn't done with me. It had more to show me, more places to revisit, more memories to drag into the light. And somewhere in the dark, I could hear the faint, echoing sound of footsteps, footsteps that weren't my own.